Good morning, good afternoon. This is Mo Abu Ali with IoT Co. And a very big welcome to everybody today attending the Mexico Now webinar. It is really my pleasure to introduce this webinar here today. We want to focus on Industry 4.0 for aerospace manufacturing. I'm very well pleased to have with me today Dr. Ramiro Velleda from Velleda Consulting. He's the Managing Director. Very pleased to have Eric Palencia, CEO of Integra Automation, based out of Mexico and also serving North America, and Mr. Javier Acosta, the CEO of Mechatronics Automation. Thank you all. Welcome for being here today. And I think before we go ahead with the formal introductions of the attendees, I would like to kick it off with a few short slides. And then each participant, each panelist will give a short 3-minute presentation on their view of Industry 4.0 and how it is impacting aerospace manufacturing. And then we are gonna open up for a Q&A. I also would appreciate everybody on the call today, everybody on the webinar, please use the Q&A chat area. And at any time, please write your Q&A, please write your question, and we will do what we can to address those questions today before the end of the webinar, okay? So let's start with a short introduction. IoT Co. is an organization that provides Industry 4.0 training, consulting, and technologies to manufacturing. And we believe in serving the automotive and the aerospace sector. And we believe in a strategy to support the fourth industrial revolution adoption in manufacturing. And the strategy of the Industrial Internet of Things is really about understanding your factory floor. It's about understanding your machine layer. It's about understanding your SCADA or data acquisition layer. You have to collect real-time data from the factory floor. It's about manufacturing execution systems and marrying data from the factory floor to your business systems, your enterprise resource planning systems. So keeping this in mind, when you are thinking about an Industry 4.0 or a digital transformation strategy, please consider 4 pillars. And I will start from the right and I will go backwards. Please consider the return on investment for your business. It's very important to start with the business case, and the business case will dictate the technology implementation and adoption. Second, think about the maturity and readiness of your factory floor to be connected. Connectivity is very important. Capturing real-time data from the factory floor allows you to be very successful with your analytics, with your performance analytics, and with your predictive analytics on the factory floor. And then think about technology that makes sense and how you can scale that technology in your factory and in a multi-site operation that maybe is all over Mexico, all over North America. So the business case is key. And just showing you the business case here on both sides. If you run a factory operation today, how can you improve and sustain overall equipment effectiveness, OEE, improving your uptime, reducing your scrap, improving the performance and efficiency, and also keeping in mind in the aerospace industry, it is usually a high mix operation, right? High mix, low volume. So quality is very important. Maintenance is very important. Process optimization is very important. So how can we adopt and implement Industry 4.0 technologies in a high mix environment? A lot of moving parts, a lot of SKUs, very complex engineering, okay? So Smart Factory Industry 4.0 starts with moving from Industry 3.0 to Industry 4.0. And Industry 3.0 is about getting connected, capturing real-time data from the factory floor, and having real-time metrics, real-time OEE, real-time MTTR, mean time to repair, mean time between failure, quality, defects, and also thinking about predictive analytics on your factory floor. What is the health of your machine? What is a prediction of your RUL, your remaining useful life? When will this machine go down before it actually goes down? So how can we transition our behavior, the technology, the process, the people that is required to transition aerospace manufacturing today from a reactive, time-based approach to a predictive and preventive approach towards an Industry 4.0 type of environment? This is what we're going to learn today. And this is what companies like Maxion Wheels has learned and adopted. They have factories in SLP, factories in Chihuahua, in Mexico, factories in Brazil. Companies like Bocar Group has learned and adopted. They have embraced the transition from Industry 3.0 to Industry 4.0. They have been able to adopt connectivity and metrics and predictive maintenance and predictive quality on the factory floor. So please think 4 things in your strategy. Think about the technical value. Think about velocity, moving quickly in the right direction. Think about scalability. How can you scale those solutions? Think big, start small, and think about ROI. What is the ROI to your business? And this is exactly what my esteemed colleagues are going to be talking about today. It is my pleasure to first introduce Dr. Ramiro Villeda, who will give his introduction. Dr. Villeda is the Managing Director of Villeda Consulting. Ramiro, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Awali. I'm gonna share with you a 30-year journey. We had a fortune to help a manufacturing company in late 1989 to transform from traditional manufacturing to TPS or Lean. In that project, we used the famous Toyota production system house, which has 2 pillars on the left, just in time, on the right, Jidoka. And we had a very successful transformation. Unfortunately, after 3 or 4, maybe 5 years, we began to realize that many transformations that we led and other colleagues began to stall, to lose traction. And we began to question if we were using the right approach to implement TPS/lean manufacturing. We began to wonder if we were in the right track. As a matter of luck, on November the 5th, 2003, the Wall Street Journal published a quite interesting article about what you have here is a man-made island in front of Nagoya. That was the latest airport built in Japan. It was an astonishing technological feat because it was made in the ocean on a man-made island, on time and under budget. And my surprise was to learn that the company who was in charge, the major contractor, was Toyota. Toyota used its systemic expertise to make sure that the project was finished on time and under budget. Here, what I mean is that at that time, I learned that Toyota, more than a set of techniques, Toyota is about systems thinking, systems working, how to design and manage complex adaptive systems. Then, after that experience, we found out that we made a major mistake while translating Toyota's house. Here, rather than Jidoka, which is what has been translated in most US books, the term is automation. And it's important because automation, in my opinion, is the great grandfather of Industry 4.0. Here, my point is that maybe the most successful company to do Industry 4.0 is Toyota. And I will use this during my Q&A section to share with you. What we're doing right now is helping our clients synchronize the material flow. With the information flow with the material flow. You cannot have the right materials if you have the wrong information. We have been working for the last 2 years with several companies in several countries just to accomplish that as a first step towards Industry 4.0, making sure that we can synchronize the information flow with the material flow. Thank you. I'll get back to you, Dr. Abwali.
Thank you, Dr. Vieda. And I fully agree that synchronizing the information flow with the material flow is key to success and is a prerequisite for Industry 4.0. Thank you. Also want to welcome Mr. Eric Palencia, CEO of Integra Automation. Eric, thank you for being with us today to give your introduction.
Thank you, Mo. A pleasure to be here with you. Okay, Integra Automation is a company with more than 20 years in the market. We have several locations. We have our main office here in San Luis Potosí, and we have a branch office in Puebla, which is main in charge to attend customers in that area. But we have customers along Mexico, and we have the opportunity to develop some projects for other customers in other countries. We mainly have four business units that are Integra Technology, where we develop complete projects, complete solutions from the design to the implementation. We provide components for control and automation through Integra Supply. We provide training in the automation area through Integra Automation to our customers. And we deliver people with the skills in automation, robotics, and IT to our customers. We provide different solutions from machine building to robotic solutions and IT solutions that we have been implementing in the past, but now with Industry 4.0 and Internet of Things, we are delivering other kind of solutions for that. We have been working in different industries along these 20 years, and we have found that in a lot of them have different processes that are the same. The processes through the different industries are very similar. What is changing is maybe the size of the components of the mechanism, but at the end, the processes are very similar, and that allows us to provide several services to industries or companies that we have never before worked with them. So, because the familiarity of the processes. We provide services from the consultancy. In this case, for Industry 4.0, what we think is one of the main goals to achieve, because if you start to implement something without the right understand of the current situation and the path you need to follow, is not a good idea. So we provide this consultancy, and then we develop all the requirements, the design of electrical, mechanical, software, implementation, and commissioning on site, and the project management. And we also provide after-sales support through phone, email, remote connection, or on-site visits with the customer. We have been working with several manufacturer brands. That is one of the challenges in this area of the technology, because some of the customers have different manufacturers, different implementations, but at the end they need to have everything connected among each one of them. So one of the flexibilities of the Integra Automation team is that we are able to connect most of the current systems on the market. We have teams for process and mechanical team. We have information technology team. We have robotics, control and automation, and the project management teams to handle the complete project. So we are able to provide turnkey projects from the design, manufacture, assembly, wire, coding and test, delivery, and connectivity to Industry 4.0. Some examples of the projects we have delivering to our customers. And we have worked with different end users in different industries. And we are able to provide services to these new customers in the future. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric, and thanks for being part of the webinar. I also have the pleasure to introduce Mr. Javier Acosta. Javier, thanks for being with us. Javier is a CEO of Mechatronics Automation, and he will introduce his company.
Thank you, Dr. Mo. Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to share some of our experience that we have in the implementation of technologies for manufacturing 4.0. And for those who have not heard about our company, let me share a brief presentation. So our company name is Mechatronics Automation, and our core technology, it's working on these 20 years on intelligent automation, machine vision, robotic platforms, Industry 4.0, and artificial intelligence for the applications in the industry. Also, our trajectory, it's on 2000, we are certified, our company, on ISO 9001, 2015. We have more than 3,000 solutions on the market. We have a one R&D lab using a lot of technologies in Industry 4.0, and we have our footprint on US and Mexico. We service for 5 different countries, USA, Mexico, Brazil, Italy, and China. Actually, in the last days, we are working with Canada too. And on the field of Industry 4.0, our company has been dedicated for several years working on different technologies to connecting all the system integrated for our manufacturing plant. That means that we are using technologies to connect from our customer to our cloud, or cloud to the supplier, like you see on the screen. Then the supplier is connected to the delivery, to our warehouse. The warehouse is connected to our production line. Our production line is giving all the data and all the analytics to our cloud. And then we are ready to send to our customer. All this with an ERP, with technology that we are using on the medical, on the aerospace, on the electronic industry. So we are working in several years, 7 technologies, doing this connection, trying to do a whole system to have Industry 4.0 connectivity. If you notice, if we disconnect everything from our plant, we miss a lot of information. So it's very important to have that connectivity, to have more production, and to have more flexibility on the use of all data in our production floor. And also we work a lot for different industries, like you see on this screen. We're working on the electronic industry, medical industry, aerospace, and automotive. And let me share with you in a small video.
Javier, we don't hear the sound, but we see the video.
Oh, great. So right now we are seeing a lot of equipment that all these machines are connected to our production floor, to our materials. So these machines has the right technology to generate data, and with this data we create analysis, and we can give results to our end customer. So it is very important to use these technologies. We are working on these technologies for several years, around 18, something like that. And so using artificial intelligence and using all these technologies, it helps to our end user, to his production. Thank you, Dr. Mo.
Thank you very much, Javier, for your insights. Thank you for the video. And before we start the Q&A session, we want to thank our sponsors, and we want to show a brief message, please.
Are you looking to expand your manufacturing business globally while improving your bottom line? Mexico is your answer. Intermex, your partner. Intermex is one of Mexico's most important manufacturing management support and industrial real estate providers. Our customer portfolio of more than 200 international manufacturing firms benefit from effective establishment, operation, and continued success. Additionally, we present our clients with the opportunity to further reduce costs and optimize operation performance by utilizing different management strategies such as shelter, startup, Mexican entity management, specialized services, and our multi-tenant and shared facility option. If Mexico is your choice of destination, Intermex will provide you with highly competitive advantages for the support and experience that can enable your venture to succeed. Think Mexico. Think Intermex.
Perfect. Again, thank you to all the panelists. I invite you to come online and turn on your cameras. And we have a few questions we would like to start the conversation. First question goes to Dr. Ramiro Valleda, please. Dr. Valleda, what paths has Europe, East Asia, and North America followed to implement Industry 4.0 in your view?
Thank you. Thank you, Mo. Let me share my presentation. Let me start with Sweden. I will use only 2 countries in Europe. You can see on the bottom of this table that Sweden went from a very heavy capital-intensive economy to a less labor-intensive economy. So you can see at the bottom the last 2 time periods where they went from 24. Okay, what you have here is total productivity contribution, and you see that Sweden was able to increase productivity with less human input. Here the point is that in Europe, many countries began to test automation in the early 70s because of lack of resources and because people were too expensive. Now let me move on to Germany. This is a document from the federal government. In this chart, I really love it because on one page, the Germans tell us what do they think about Industry 4.0. Here you have the 4 industrial revolutions. And according to the German government, the Industry 3.0 began in the early 70s with the introduction of the PLCs. I really like this phrase right here. The 3rd industrial revolution allows us to increase further automation. In other words, if we're trying to automate, or we automate, we are doing Industry 3.0. Industry 4.0 is the connectivity of those automated automated processes. Now let me move on to East Asia. Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Singapore are countries with very, very limited resources. South Korea has less than 1/20th of Mexican's territory. So those countries have no resources, not many people, so they had to rely on automation to start their industrial development. This information that you have right here is shocking. In our research about Toyota, we found that in the early 70s, Toyota introduced desktop computers to the shop floor of its Takaoka plant. Visualize in the early 70s, computers on the shop floor used by team leaders, which are the equivalent of group leaders in our factories, to calculate the size of Kanbans. So here my point is that we are dealing with countries in Europe and Asia that have a 20, 30, 40 lead on us on automation. This chart right here shows how Toyota developed its famous and powerful production system. From 1946 to 1955, they developed what they call flow production. Cellular manufacturing, multifunctional workers, visual management, quick changeovers. What you have here is what many companies are still trying to accomplish. The next 3 phases, the second one, they develop an internal pull system, within Toyota. The 3rd phase, they connected that pull system to its supplier chain. And on the 3rd phase we have really the birth of Industry 4.0 at Toyota in 1976. Okay, now where are we in North America? Let me use an excellent article published by the Wall Street Journal on March the 3rd, 2019, last year. Just the conclusion of the article. China knows that in the 70s and 80s, when America led the world in computers, electronics, research, and capital, we failed to automate. Either we failed to automate or we did not want to automate. We didn't have the pressures as Japan and Sweden in terms of resources. We had land, we had people. So why go into a very uncertain path of automation? In summary, in brief, my point here is that we have a 20 to 30 year gap, automation gap, which could be good because if we close this gap, we can jump ahead. But we have to consider this. We have to keep this in mind. Thank you.
Dr. Veda, thanks for the insights. It's good to see where Asia and North America and Europe is heading. And you gave a good example with Toyota. So I would ask you to stop sharing. And I want to have a question now for Eric Palencia, actually. So Eric Palencia, Toyota, huge company, okay? How about the small guys, the small manufacturers, you know? So my question to you is, are Industry 4.0 solutions only focus on Toyota type of companies, or is there a possibility to implement them if I'm a small guy, a small, mid-size aerospace tier 1 or tier 2 supplier?
Great question, Mo. Fortunately, Industry 4.0 is been democratizing the access to the information and the technology to the small and medium companies. In this case, we have partnered with Siemens, which is one of the leaders on the market in different solutions, and we are currently trying to push this new tool that is called MindSphere, which is possible. I will share my presentation. With this kind of solution, we are able to connect. Can you see my presentation?
We can see.
Okay. So with this kind of solution, we are able to connect from one machine, even with one variable like temperature or production or whatever. But we are able to connect more machines inside the same plant or the same line. And we are able to provide all this information into the cloud in order we can analyze the information. But it's possible to connect other factories in different parts of the world. So for the big companies, the transnational companies, they are able to connect all their systems step by step. It's not necessary to connect everything at the same time. That it was one of the requirements in the past, and that implies a big investment in the different systems and servers and databases and all the engineering stuff to implement, even if you were starting with just one machine. So with this kind of solution for the small companies, it's a good way to start because we can connect from one sensor to one PLC or a man-machine interface, or even having this information from the PLC into the cloud directly without passing through the other levels. So that means that this technology right now is available for the different company size. Thank you.
That's very good to hear, actually, that such technologies are available for big companies and small and mid-sized companies. I think that's good news. Maybe shifting topic with the current situation, you know, maybe Javier Acosta, you can start with the current situation with the COVID-19 and the pandemic. how do you think this has affected positively or negatively Industry 4.0 and the adoption? What's your view there?
Thank you, Dr. Mo. Well, right now, the COVID-19 is a trend topic. It is affecting the Industry 4.0. How you know the COVID pandemic is created both a public health crisis and an economic crisis in the United States. The pandemic has disrupted lives, pushes the hospital system to its capacity, and create a global economy slowdown. So it is affecting a lot to our economy, the economy of the industries. And also, in order to this slowdown, we need to implement strategies with more flexible system, more flexible technologies. In this topic, our industry is facing the greatest challenge in the industrial history. So that generates also investors' uncertainty, and but also an opportunity to create technologies and start to doing our production at long distance, and taking care about our people and taking care about our staff. So it is affecting a lot with this economic slowdown. Thank you, Dr. Mo.
Thanks for your insights, Javier. Really appreciate it. And we wish everybody health and safety and wellness. I think it's important. Dr. Ramiro, back to you, Dr. Vieda. So I want to implement Industry 4.0, and I want to know what's the roadmap. How can I get started? What do I do? What's your advice on a roadmap to implement Industry 4.0?
Thank you, Dr. Abuali. Let me go back to my. Okay, the roadmap, the first thing we need to do is we have to accept where we are. Roadmap means you're going to do a journey. Our starting point is we need a roadmap to design and execute Industry 3.0 plus 4.0. That's the challenge. It has benefits, but it's a challenge. Coming back to the Toyota, the TPS house, you see the bottom, the foundation is stability. Stability. I would like to ask the people who are connected, do we have stable manufacturing companies? And the answer is no, for many reasons. Javier just mentioned COVID, but there is one which is, it doesn't matter where you are, which country, which industry. If the market changes and you have no means to mitigate that change within your factory, you are going to have a lot of variability inside your company, and you will transmit by the bullwhip effect, you transmit that variability to your supplier base. Here you have a company from Belgium develop a platform. Here you have several, it's a network of the technologies. You have mentioned several times ERPs. Let me start with the ERP. The ERP, the term ERP was coined in the early 90s. However, the logic, the father or grandfather of ERP is MRP, which was developed in the early 70s. So we have our machinery, which is machinery layer. We went to MRP and then ERP, and then later we began to fill up in between. Unfortunately, the implementation process was not very effective. Let me just we talk about two big deficiencies that we are carrying because of that ad hoc process to introduce PLCs, SCADAs, and MES. The first is that most of our companies, I could say more than 90% of our companies have a problem, what is known as the binomial oscillation in inventory. What is that? That either we have too little of what we need, or too much, too little material, or too much. And I'll explain later why this happens. What are the three effects of this binomial oscillation? First, if we have too much of the wrong inventory, we have low inventory turns, and we have to use capital to support, to finance that inventory. If we have unacceptable levels of service, that means that we have too little of the right. When we have too little of the right material, part numbers or SKUs, we have either a low fill rate or, which is the worst, loss of market share, because we don't have the materials to fulfill the scales. And then we have the third expense or third waste. Given the fact we don't have the right materials, we have to fly. We have to use premium freight to get the parts in the factory and then fly the finished products to our customers. Here we're talking about major money. I'm talking about if a company could reduce by 50% two of these three problems, they could double the profits they make. Okay, so to summarize, we have to think of a journey where our starting point is not where we would like to be. Is the starting point where we have to do Industry 3.0 plus Industry 4.0. Thank you.
I fully agree, Dr. Villeda, and it really starts with connectivity. You know, the pyramid you showed, integration between the business layer and the machine layer. And there's always a gap there. And if you have the transparency and you can do better scheduling, finite capacity scheduling, and you can mitigate those points. That's an excellent point. Eric Palencia, in your view, you know, Dr. Villeda showed a roadmap, a potential roadmap, where to start. What do you think is the process that somebody should follow to implement an Industry 4.0 technology today?
Obviously, the main step is to identify where a company is located in this journey. Even we are talking about the implementation of Industry 4.0, I can say that we have realized that as a lot of things in this country, we have a very diverse situation in Mexico. We have very big, with a lot of resources, companies that have all the elements to start and are already working in Industry 4.0. But however, we have a lot of companies that rely on analog technology for their processes. So the first step is to identify where we are located as a company. And in that journey, we have several steps, and sometimes we want to run before to walk. So it's important to identify in these all possibilities where we are located. In this case, with MindSphere, we have a process to identify which is the main topic we have to focus. And there are three main big steps that are connectivity and monitoring. Then once we have all the information in the cloud, we are able to analyze and predict some of the systems in the plant and proceed to the digitization and transformation with artificial intelligence or machine learning. So I can say that a lot of companies, even the same company, have some of their production sites with very high-end technology, but at the same time, in the same place, have a lot of analog controls in their machines. So they are not able to manage the information. And maybe that could lead what Dr. Villeda said, because in some places you have all the technology, but in other ones you have nothing. So it's not easy to handle. So with these things in mind, we follow this process. We identify the maturity level of the customer. Then we provide a consultancy to make the conceptual architecture and technical for the system. We identify which is the technology that is at the place at that moment. And this is very important to work with them to identify the KPIs, because sometimes if you do not identify the right goals you want to achieve, everything you implement would be serve of nothing. So once that is done, we connect the components to a gateway, and after that, we are able to implement some solutions like energy management or OEE, or even some dashboards for the customer, and then we can provide annual maintenance for the system. So mainly is the process, and it could be very fast. If we start with the small machine, as I mentioned before, we can provide this to small, medium, or even for large companies. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate what you said. Digital maturity is key. It is not apples to apples. It's important to understand the challenges around the technology, the process, the people, and legacy machines, analog machines are always difficult to connect. So I think assess your maturity is always very important. But at the same time, maybe Javier Acosta, you know, we are still going through challenging times. And I just read an article today where everybody really froze Industry 4.0 spending. They're worried about future things. So again, back to you. You know, how has COVID-19 really reshaped the implementation of Industry 4.0? Should I freeze and wait for the vaccine, or should I keep going?
Well, thank you, Dr. Mo. I think so. We need to keep going. And how the COVID is reshaping the implementation of Industry 4.0. One of the things that we don't know 4 months ago, it's the digitalized sanitization. So we have technologies that more frequently are used to monitoring the employees, their production, the flow, the quality control, and track productivity. But at these days, we must need to include a different way to how we can digitalize also our workers. We need to digitalize the sanitization in order to have on real time monitoring the body temperature in each of our employees. And also, if we use digitalized sanitization, we can improve our production. Let me share with you very quick on a small video from here from my screen.
I appreciate what you're saying about connected workers, because it's not just about connected assets. Connected workers is also key.
Yes, exactly. And we need to start digitalize all the workers also. Let me share with you. In the past, we just worry about the connectivity with the machines. Right now, we need to change our chip in mind, and we need to start digitalizing each of our staff. And let me show you in a small video how we can detecting the temperature body on real time, and also detecting the RFID control to start production line. What if one of my workers has, or one of my staff has a problem or one infection? So the machine, it will me advise and can help me to avoid more infections around my production line. So let me share with you this small video. Right now, we are detecting the body temperature. This is on a production line machine, a regular one. We are detecting the RF control, the temperature detection. And also, we are ready to do the machine memory. But first, we need to check first our staff in order to have a great, because you know that if we have just connecting the machines, we are losing the best part that we have on our plants. Remember that if we have, we need to have Industry 4.0, people, process, and technology. We need to take care about our people. So we need to be connected to our digitalized system.
Thank you, Javier. Thank you. That's actually quite an important add-on to Industry 4.0. You know, connected assets, connected products, and connected worker. Thank you. Dr. Vieira, back to you. And I appreciate the conversations we've had around the different initiatives happening around the world. But I want to focus on North America, okay? And we have a lot of aerospace manufacturers today with us on the webinar. So the question is, what are your top 3 no regret Industry 4.0 initiatives for the aerospace North American friends we have today on the call?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wally. Let me go back to my. First, let me explain what a no regret initiative is. A no regret means that it doesn't matter what industry you are in, what country you are in, how big your company is. There are some initiatives that you can take and you will not fail. You will not make a mistake with a no regret initiative. I will share 3 with you. But first, let's take a look at where the aerospace industry sits. On the top, you have, by product mix, the aerospace industry, like rockets, could be one of a kind. Big airplanes, low volume, high mix. So I think the most of the aerospace industry falls here, with some products to the left and others to the right. Now, for that type of product mix, what type of production system do we need? A flow shop. So this orange square depicts the area where the aerospace industry sits. Is from a one of a kind to a few products, higher volume, which are made in a flow shop, sometimes job shops for satellites and rockets, and sometimes maybe a line flow for a high level type of products. But my point here is that aerospace industry is as Dr. Wally said, is a high mix, low volume industry. So in this context, what is the most important input? And once again, I will say, is information. Is synchronized information that will drive will bring to me the right materials. Coming back to this Belgium platform, yes, ERPs are important, but the ERPs are not working. It doesn't matter if you go to the cloud and you add more digital technologies, those technologies will not fix the drawbacks or deficiencies of a poor running ERP. Before I mentioned that the way we operate with our current ERP systems have created 2 problems. I already explained the binomial oscillation. Now let me explain another one. You won't believe how many companies use Excel to supplement the powerful ERPs. Lots of them. So why do we have our people doing things on Excel when we have spent millions and millions and millions of dollars on ERPs? The reason is very simple. The ERP logic is not working. It worked maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. What do I mean by this? By this, I mean that we have to achieve what Toyota did in the 56 to 65 time period, which is to create a pull system. Why do we need a pull system? Because that's the only way we can be connected with the market. So what we need is a more relevant demand signal from the market. And unfortunately, most of our MPS, MRP, ERP systems, at least for execution, they do it based on a forecast. If a forecast were wrong before COVID, just imagine now. DDMRP is a US developed system which has over 500 implementations in Europe, but a few in the US. DDMRP does not use a forecast to liberate purchase orders or manufacturing orders. DDMRP uses sales orders. A firm order from the customer is what detonates in our factory a production order. Okay, so let me go to the 3 no regret initiatives. First, tightly synchronize your information and material flows. I leave it to you, the technology or the system you want to use, but you must synchronize the information and material flow. Why? Because information flow is not correct, you will not have the materials on time or the correct materials. In other words, what I'm telling you is the ERP is the brain and the nervous system of the company. If the brain is not working, no matter what sensor you add to the fingers or to the body of the company, it won't work. So we need a more how can I say, real-time signal from the market to lead or to detonate our production and the production of our suppliers. Second, no regret initiative: build and maintain a high caliber digital team. Since we did not invest in human resources focused on automation or computerization, it's amazing how short we are on the skills. Right now, we are working with 2 companies who are trying to implement DDMRP, and we cannot find a super user. We cannot find the guy with expertise in ERPs, in APIC certified. So we need to invest in digital talent. If we don't have it in this country, let's do what Canada is doing. Canada 4 years ago changed the immigration laws. Any person with a good digital expertise can get Canadian permanent residency in less than 30 days. It took me more than 2 years to get my Canadian permanent residency. So if we need talent, if we don't have enough talent, let's bring it from wherever is available. The third, no regret: connect and share your digital initiatives with the key players in your supply chain. Here you have what DDMRP can do for you. Starting with the customer, with your distribution centers, that signal will be captured by DDMRP. It will be sent to your assembly lines, to your manufacturing process, including your production, your supply chain. So here we have a technology or a system developed in the United States that can connect the whole supply chain. I've had a client in Leon, and we were discussing if we could improve the productivity in one area of his plant by 20-25%. I told him, look, rather than improving here by 20 or 25%, let's improve 5% the whole supply chain. So my last point is manufacturing companies are systems, complex systems, who operate in a much more complex system. So if we're trying to improve and a sustainable improvement, let's think of the whole supply chain. And DDMRP allows you to connect and improve the whole supply chain. Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Veda, this is excellent, actually. It is not just about one plant and me doing my work. It's about the whole supply chain improvement for Industry 4.0. Thank you for that. And that actually brings me to a question. You know, you mentioned digital talent, and I want to ask maybe Eric Palencia. Eric, you know, Mexico has lower labor rates, right? So I can just go hire some great smart people from universities, and I can build my own Industry 4.0 solution, right? So why don't I just do this, especially in a low labor economy, versus having to go buy Siemens MindSphere? Could you advise manufacturers? Should they buy or should they make?
Okay, it's an interesting question because I think it's not the first time that we have faced this challenge, because along the history we have faced, as companies decide between develop something by ourselves or buying something from somebody else. And with this solution of MindSphere, you have the opportunity to rent a solution. I mean, this is what we now are calling a platform as a service. So a lot of things, a lot of services we are using today as Netflix or other platforms, we are not owners of the platform. We only pay for the service, and we use as we require. So that drastically reduces the amount of investment we need to have a solution like this. In this case, with the MindSphere, we have the opportunity to implement different solutions as we require them. that means that we can start with one solution. It's like an application. If we think in MindSphere like an iOS or iOS system, and then we have several applications that we can purchase in the future as we are required them. So in this way, we have a prepackaged solution that is that have several advantages. That is cloud-based. It's a platform as a service. You can escalate it. It's very secure, but it's very important because all of the data is critical for the companies. You can have multi-machines. You can have multi-protocols that allows you to connect different systems, different solutions. You can have multi-applications, and you can connect to other systems like ERPs or databases, or even you can allow to the people that have any machine or any system to introduce data in a manual way. So it allows to have a fast implementation, and at the end, even it's possible to make a custom application. So you can have the best of the two worlds, from a prepackaged solution, or you can build something from your side. So
Thanks,
I think this is one of the great advantages of this solution. However, you can use both of them.
Thanks for your insights. And I want to ask our final question actually to Mr. Javier Acosta. And I want to really thank our panelists and the webinar attendees. And if they're available, they can stay a bit longer. But Javier, sorry to keep asking you the COVID questions, but that's unfortunately the topic of the hour. And I want to ask you your recommendation to the people on the call today. You know, how can Industry 4.0 leverage this COVID situation? And a lot of people are asking, hey, when the vaccine comes out, I don't need these solutions anymore. So can these solutions survive post-COVID? How do you feel?
Well, I think so. This solution is we need to be prepared for the changes. We know that right now we're facing a lot of challenges, and we need to be sure to use technology to improve our industry, and how the industry 4.0 can help manufacturing during this pandemic. I think so. It's very important to digitalize the workplace. The pandemic has increased trend of employees playing expandable role in their employees' financial, physical, and mental well-being. Employees can be effective way to promote physical health and improve emotional well-being of employees. So it's very important to use technology to humanizing or criteria. Using digitalized workplace and humanizing technologies will be increased and create a culture of inclusiveness. So it is very important to help right now the manufacturers during this pandemic using technologies to humanizing all our workplace. Let me share with you two brief slides. Here. So right now, we need to be prepared in these days. We need to be prepared with the content worker extension. Right now, we never know if our staff, it will be the same staff tomorrow. It changed a lot. The dynamic organization charts on these days are changing a lot. So instead of we are using technologies just to production, we need to be open our mind and change our chip to be more flexible. And we need to have a dynamic organization chart, because that will be increase my objectives on my implementations. And let me jump to this. Right now, we are thinking in the transition for designing for efficiency to design for resilience. So we are thinking that we are using technologies for improve our production, for improve our quality. But on these days, we are need to thinking more in resilience. more than in production and more than opportunities. Because right now we are facing one of the most challenges in the world. So we are need to take care about our employees because they are the motor of our industry. So we are need to be focused on the technologies that helps our employees to be more resilient in our operations. So the old systems have no flexibility to respond to disruption. Resilient organizations were able to not respond. So we need to correct the path quickly, day by day. So it's very important to think that technology using on our resilience. Thank you, Dr. Mo.
Thank you, Mr. Acosta. And actually, I was looking through the Q&A of the different attendees, and it looks like we've answered actually most of their questions through the Q&A we've had. Since there is quite a few attendees still on the call, I want to maybe ask a final question, okay? Your last words, your advice in 10 to 20 seconds. What is one piece of advice you would give to an aerospace manufacturer in Mexico today regarding Industry 4.0? One piece of advice from the heart, I'm an aerospace manufacturer. I'm not a big guy, okay? I'm a tier supplier, and I want to do Industry 4.0. What is one piece of advice to conclude the journey today? Who wants to start?
Let me start, Mo.
Dr. Villeda, one piece of advice.
My advice will be that they have to, the companies, their executives must do an honest, clear-headed assessment where they are. Once they do that, and they know, they uncover the opportunity areas, they'll know what to do. But the first step is know where you are, what's your starting point in your journey.
Fair statement, Dr. Villeda. Thank you. Eric, Javier?
Yes, I should say start now. There is no more reasons to think that Industry 4.0 is not for me. Even if you are a small company, it's the right time to start because the technology allows you to do it right now.
Thank you, Eric. Javier?
Yes, so like I said, we need to be focused on our people. So we need to humanize the technology because the people are our motor in the industry. So we need to digitalize all the technology, include all our staff, because we need to take care about them on these days. We need to change our chip. We are not on these days that we need to produce a lot. We must need to work on resilience. We have problems with suppliers, with customers, with different things. I all the days walk around different plants in different industries, and I see the challenges that my customers are facing. So we need to be focused on our people, digitalize and humanize technologies for them, and I'm pretty sure the Industry of 4.0 is gonna give it to you to the next level.
Know where you are, start now. Resilience and the human side of digital, guys.
Yes.
I want to really thank you. I want to thank Mexico Now for hosting this. If you guys can pull up the contact us slide, please. Please stay in touch with us. This is Mo with IoT Co. I really want to thank Dr. Ramiro Villeda, Managing Director at Villeda Consulting. Thank you, Ramiro. I want to thank Eric Palencia, CEO at Integra Automation, for your expertise. I want to thank Mr. Javier Acosta, CEO of Mechatronics. Thank you to everybody who attended today. See you in a future webinar and have a great day. Stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.